What's good, YouTube? We are back. 3 videos in one night. 3 videos in one night. Please subscribe, like. Oh my gosh. I want to appear in the back of your classroom and just don't even get me thinking or saying anything. But we are back with this man who has no right being this good with an exclamation point. Let's get right into it. I don't got nothing to say to you bitches, bro.
Really? You want me to read something called SSS? Revival Hunter? Fine, but it looks like Power Fantasy trash, so I'm not getting my hopes up. See? I knew this was gonna be trash. I mean, come on. 4,000 times? That's just absurd. And this protagonist sucks. Okay, it's not that bad. Maybe mediocre at best. Alright, you have my attention. Okay, it's good. Definitely not the best I've read. But, oh, we're still going. Okay.
Stop playing me. Put that on your soul and life that this is good. I thought it was just a rip-off Solo Leveling. What was it called? S Hunter? Oh yeah, we will be reviewing this in another video. Holy edit.
What the fuck did I just read? And why am I crying? Whoa, wait, hold on. I already said it's good. You don't need to show me anymore.
If I read this and this is trash, I'm coming back here and I'm disliking your video. Is this not a solo? Is he not just gonna keep getting overpowered? I don't get this, bro. Like,
I owe this manhwa an apology. I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. That was one of the best manhwa I have ever read. So much so that it is now one of my top 3 manhwa. Apology. I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. That was one of the best manhwa I have ever read. So much so that it is now one of my...
This is good. No, this is a bang. Okay, now I believe it good. And this is good too. Okay, well, so then I will be reading it then. Let me just take a picture of it. Alright.
My top 3 manhwa. There are a lot of good things about this manhwa, so give me a sec to organize my thoughts. If I had to describe what makes this story so good in one word, it would be compassionate. It's a story about compassion disguised as a power fantasy. I don't think anyone who read it would disagree. Though it doesn't reinvent the wheel, everything from the characters and the events is handled with a certain degree of care that makes it captivating. It's one of the few stories that I can safely say that the author really loves his protagonist. The other thing that I need to praise is how unpredictably well thought out it is. I don't know if I'm the only one, but a lot of times when reading manhwa, I find myself thinking, oh, that's a cool concept, but I know they're just gonna half-ass it. Or, man, it would be really good if they did this, but I know they're not gonna do it. And I don't blame anyone for thinking this, because most manga and manhwa out there are just like that, half-assed and never deliver on their full potential, doing the bare minimum to keep your attention. This manhwa is different. It shattered my expectations each and every time, and I now have complete faith in it that they will deliver. Before I get carried away, let me tell you the premise of the manhwa. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. The manhwa's world is your typical tower climbing fantasy. A gargantuan tower suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Some people got curious, went in, and found monsters. But they also acquired skills that gave them the power to fight those monsters. When the rest of the world heard of this, people flocked to the tower. Some in search of fame and fortune, others purely for the thrill of adventure, and some just didn't have a place left in the world. So they sought to make one of their own inside the tower. They built a city on the first floor, and together they started clawing their way up the tower. The story takes place decades after the tower appeared. The hunters were hard stuck on floor 10, until a guy called the Flame Emperor appeared, who went on to single-handedly clear every floor he goes into. Fast forward 10 years, the Flame Emperor had just cleared floor 50, and the eyes of everyone in the tower were focused on him. He's strong, flamboyant, and so unapologetically arrogant, yet still people admired him. Some wanted to be like him, others wanted to be him. Among all those voices, one voice stood out, because it kept on repeating the same thing. I want to be like the Flame Emperor too. Again and again. On the other side of the screen was a man, a weak hunter who envied the Flame Emperor so much he wanted his fame and strength without doing any work of his own. That man is our protagonist, Kim Gonja. His envy was so strong and so unsightly that the tower took notice of him and threw him a skill. I say threw because that's what it said. While other people's skills were presented with words like reward and praise, his said throw, like throwing a bone to a dog.
Oh, so everybody got the same system? I thought it was gonna be him. He would have his OP system just like soul level. But then again, that kind of would just be absolutely ripping it off.
But Kim doesn't care if it looks pathetic, because he got himself a golden skill. Finally, his ticket out of his miserable life. But his happiness was short-lived.
Effects. Activates automatically upon death. You can copy one of the skills of someone who kills you and make it yours. You cannot copy a skill from targets that have already killed you previously. Skills are randomly copied. However, you die. A useless skill. No, it's worse than useless. It's a cruel joke, and here's the punchline. Kim goes out to wallow in his despair when he stumbles upon the Flame Emperor having an argument with another hunter. That ends up with him burning her alive. Kim, witnessing the horrific scene, runs away, but the Flame Emperor notices him and catches him. Kim begs for his life, but the number one hunter doesn't care. Kim dies and his skill activates, as if it's of any use to him now. The Flame Emperor's skills are presented to Kim, and he unconsciously reaches for the shiniest one. Then he wakes up in his bed. By a miraculous stroke of luck, the skill he copied was a return by death skill. Whenever he dies, he will go back in time 24 hours. Now that explains how the Flame Emperor became so strong so fast. Kim notices a big fire outside and heads out to check it. It seems the Flame Emperor had already killed the woman and set the entire place on fire to hide the evidence. He even had the audacity to show his face there and gloat. But still, people admired him. Only one person among them stood out, the one who knew his true colors. And that's where Kim decides that man needs to die. But how do you kill a man whose entire power stems from him dying? Well, you kill him before he acquired his skill, 11 years ago. So Kim Gonja stabs himself again and again, going back in time 24 hours at a time. He does this 4,080 times before he reaches his destination, 1 week before the Flame Emperor got his skill. he stalks him for a little bit, then ambushes him while he's hunting. And after making sure that he's an asshole even in the past, he kills him. Yay, mission accomplished. Good job, boys. Time to celebrate. While Kim is celebrating in a restaurant, he is struck by another miraculous stroke of luck. Milk. The current #1 hunter of the time walks into that same restaurant. His name is Marcus Callenberry. This old man is my 5th favorite character in this manhwa. The first is Kim, and the other 3, I'll tell you who they are in a sec. Anyway, Gonja is not gonna let this chance slip away from him. If he can get himself killed by Marcus, he'll be able to copy one of his skills. And a guy that strong has to have 1 or 2 OP skills. So he follows the old man, but things don't go exactly as planned.
Get your ass back here, boy!
But hey, he gets killed anyway, so mission successful? Now it's time to claim that sweet, sweet SR skill. But that's weird. There are no golden cards, only silver and bronze ones. It's as if the #1 hunter is strong just from training and hard work. Of course, Kim, being the pathetic little shit that he is, can't comprehend the concept of true strength. So he just grabs one of the silver skills in hopes of it being secretly OP. Spoiler alert, it's not. But it is the best skill he could have ever got. Kim wakes up in bed, but now there's a man in his room. Meet my 3rd favorite character in this manhwa, the Sword Emperor. He's a ghost. So the skill that Gonja got allows him to see and interact with the spirit of a warrior from another world who cleared the tower up until floor 99 where he died.
I see dead people.
So the Sword Emperor starts training Gonja, and together they challenge the tower and start clearing floors. This manhwa didn't really grab my attention until chapter 15, where I went from thinking this is just another dime a dozen manhwa to thinking, hey, they might actually be cooking something here. Now I would call the first few chapters bad if they were just left that way, but the manhwa actually addresses a lot of things later on. Like for example, the protagonist offing himself 4,000 times. At first glance, it sounds like the author just came up with a big number to make the protagonist look stronger, like so many other trash stories do. But it actually plays a big part later on. Characters can tell, hey, that's not normal. Even Kim himself admits this. It's funny, it wasn't until chapter 70 that we actually found out what was going on inside his head as he brought that knife to his neck again and again. Now I'm not gonna show it to you because it hits harder in that moment. And later on in the story we find out that Gonja, throughout his journey whenever he's about to die, he would always choose the most painful option, because he's scared of getting used to dying. And if any of you read ReZero Greed If, you know we don't want a Casanero in our hands. Speaking of ReZero, I feel like a comparison of these two is inevitable considering the similarities. And since ReZero is my favorite anime, I can't not compare the two. There are a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Like for example of these
ReZero is good. It is good.
two is inevitable considering the similarities. And since ReZero is my favorite anime, I can't not compare the two. There are a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Like for example, Kim's return by death is way more useful than Subaru's. He knows exactly the moment he'll spawn into and can basically use it to travel to the past as far as he wants. Plus it gives him access to very important information through the penalty. Meanwhile, Subaru just has to hope he gets a good checkpoint. Plus Subaru is very weak, so he has to solve his problems with wit and just pure courage. Unlike Gonja, who is very strong and can just brute force everything. Or can he? Now this is where it gets interesting. Of course, he can just power through the floors and kill everything. That's what the Flame Emperor did. But Kim is not the Flame Emperor. He is the exact opposite. And that's why I love him. I've talked before about the asshole MC syndrome that a lot of manhwa suffer from. Basically, a childish, needlessly rude protagonist who acts like the world revolves around him and everyone else is stupid. An MC who is cool only to edgy teens and people who don't know the difference between being assertive and being a jerk. Basically the Flame Emperor to a T. I swear, a lot of manhwa protagonists are pretty much the Flame Emperor minus the murderous tendencies. And this manhwa blatantly calls it out. I mean, this sounds like something I would have written. And this was the main catalyst of Gonja's character development. He saw the Flame Emperor's personality and realized how childish it is. He decided to be better, to respect people's effort, to understand his enemies, and to help anyone he can unconditionally. A far cry from the weak, pathetic, envious person he was at the beginning of the story, who just wanted fame. One of my favorite things about him is at the beginning of the story, he was obsessed with getting powerful skills to get stronger. But now, after all he went through, and among all the skills he acquired, Only 2 of them are combat ones. One he rarely ever uses for combat, and the other, I think he only used it once because it is very harmful for his psyche, and every skill he has was either acquired or used for the sake of saving someone. Alright, that's enough about the protagonist. Long story short, I like him. There are 2 main points of the story that sealed the deal for me with this manhwa. The first one is season 2, which had such beautiful story that I did.
Who is this guy? Yo, he's actually funny as manga barista. Oh my gosh, we so underrated, bro. A sense of music. This is good. No, this is good. Oh wait, hold on. Let me not get distracted. But this is good.
Didn't expect I'd love so much, let alone cry to it. And the second is season 3, which is the best romance I have ever seen in a manhwa, period. These 2 seasons were very important for Gonja's character, because season 2 is where he discovered himself and what he was lacking, and season 3 was kinda like his first step to collecting those pieces. Now I just want to talk about these 2 seasons briefly. I won't go into too much details, but here's a spoiler warning. So season 2 had Gonja going to a Korean martial arts Murim world, and I think the biggest praise I can give this arc is that it made me want to read Murim stories. And that's saying a lot, cause I don't like Murim. And it's funny cause the exact same thing happened to people in the story who saw the events of that season. I think why that is because this story is a lot more self-contained and human, with a lot more emphasis on character depth than achievements. Usually Murim stories are very grand. Go train under this master, then go fight this sect leader, then that sect leader. Learn this super secret demonic heavenly lightning martial arts technique that'll become useless in 20 chapters. Then eat this 1000-year-old ginseng pill that'll make you metamorphosize. In a nutshell, there's always a higher plane of power to chase. That's what I expected, but what I got was a story about people who are at the pinnacle of their world, coming to terms with their own mortality. A story about legacy and the relationship between master and disciple. It was such an emotionally beautiful story. Like I don't think anyone expected this arc to hit as hard as it did. And I most certainly did not expect the arc after it to be just as good. So this time we jump into the world of an otome game. And that's where we get introduced to the villainess of the story, Raviel Evancia. Now my first thought when I saw her was, wow, she's beautiful. It'd be really cool if they shipped her with Kim. But I know that's not gonna happen. That's because usually in action manhwa, pretty girls are just eye candy. And even if the author actually shipped them, it's usually very half-assed.
These are the characters?
But I know that's not gonna happen. That's because usually in action manhwa, pretty girls are just eye candy. And even if the author actually shipped them, it's usually very half-assed and unsatisfying. Basically, I was sitting there waiting for my above-average meal.
I will admit, it must be made by a Korean, because I can't say. Korean manhwas, they can draw, bro. Like, draw. I actually like they art compared to, like, manga art. Like, it's infinitely better. Or however you say it, it's way better.
But what I got was a full-course gourmet feast. The author did not only ship the hottest character in the manga, the
I did see this character before. It was like on TikTok. Okay, let me show you.
MC, he really said hold my drink and proceeded to cook the best fucking romance I have ever seen in a manhwa. They went from strangers to adversaries to a married couple in one arc, and it felt so natural. This is how you write a romance. There was no hero saves the damsel in distress, then she falls in love with him. It was the MC who actually fell in love first. Then he looked her in the eye and told her he will make her fall for him. What a giga Chad! To which she responded, bring it on. Damn, what a... what's the female equivalent of a giga Chad? What a giga lady? Man, I love these two so much. And I love that Raviel isn't just a one-dimensional love interest. She is the protagonist of her own story. She's smart, she's strong-willed, she's cunning, and a little bit scary. And most importantly, she's just as crazy as Kim, literally the perfect fit for him. I like the entirety of this arc, so it's a bit hard for me to pinpoint a favorite moment, because it had a lot of beautiful moments. And I mean a lot. Like for example, when Kim and Raviel just abandoned the academy and went goofing around in the town, doing whatever the hell they wanted. But I think the one that stuck with me was after the wedding, when the manhwa took its time and allowed Kim to introduce the people close to him to his wife. I just think it's a very powerful moment to see the protagonist who started off with nothing happily show off the pieces he picked up along his journey. And hopefully one day he'll take his wife to visit his master's grave. Now it's time for a little bit of criticism. It's about these 5, because I feel like the story so far is doing them a disservice. All we got was a brief backstory, and every time they were part of an event, they are useless, for the most part. Black Witch, somewhat useful. Viper, barely useful. Plus, he's a filthy weeb. Ew. Countess and Paladin, useless. Heresy Inquisitor, more of a hindrance than anything. I really hope we get to see them play a more important role and see their characters shine. Because these guys are very important. They are the ones who made the tower livable for people by bringing order to it. And I'd really hate to see such cool characters get squandered. Now I do understand that the story so far has mainly been focusing on the protagonist and his growth. Season 1 and 2 were him discovering himself and the path he wants to take and what he lacks. Season 3 was his first step to acquiring what he lacks. So I hope this criticism would be solved in the future. I haven't read Season 4 yet. I'm gonna wait until it ends. Other than that, I honestly like all characters. Even this dumbass. They're very entertaining. The story is very well balanced between the drama and the comedy. Also, I feel a strange kinship with the librarian. I don't know why. What do you guys think? And that would be all for today. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Do take care of yourself.
No, he's good. Please hold my subscriber. No, this brother's good. Oh my gosh. Goodness, people. He just made an entire video. Described a book he loved with 150% passion. Animated that shit. Start to finish. Mind you, it probably took him forever to do this. But he cut it to 18 minutes for, short attention span people. He has so many references I was catching so good. I'm like, I can't say them all because I don't want my viewers to be like, dang, you such a dork. But, bro, like, honestly, I mean, I'm literally reacting to anime, like, every day. But still, like, it's crazy. He has so many. I'm like, oh, he's funny. No, he actually needs way more. Like, and so does that dude Fly Like Zero. Like, like this guy right here, he need like 100 million subscribers, bro. No lie. And our ritual, bro, we gotta read the comments after every video. So we gonna check the first one. Pinned by the go, bro. By the way, Sonoa, the author of SSS Revival Hunter, wrote another masterpiece. I'm an infinite regressor, but I've got stories to tell. That's a long ass title, dude. It's as if the author doesn't miss. It's basically what if a very sensible you, Junko from Orf, at the end of the story, is writing his own journey. The view is telling it to the readers, the world building. Ooh. I'm gonna have to check that out. The Greatest State Developer. I've been wanting to read that forever. Hunger is the taste of salted mud and bark tea will always stick with me. I don't understand that. Hunger is the taste of salted mud and bark. Alright, so that's where we're gonna end the video because I don't want y'all to find out I'm actually slow. So, peace.